So, last week, a friend of mine made a really good YouTube video about thinking for yourself. In the age of social media, you could say it's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking like other people, especially when you're scrolling on Instagram or TikTok. Sometimes it could always appear like the person who's talking knows what they're talking about. And I'm not saying that they don't know what they're talking about, but in social media, it's very easy to sound like you know what you're talking about. And if you say it in the right way with the right cadence and the right amount of energy and attitude, man, you look like you're a baller when it comes to any subject. So his video really pointed at the fact of, okay, think for yourself and do not let people's ideas or opinions or way of thinking rub off on you in a way where you start thinking that their ideas are yours. It's just an opinion and it's something to take into consideration, but think for yourself and have your own opinion about things. So as we talked that night, as we usually do nowadays, we've been doing like a YouTube challenge, which I like. It came to a certain point where I was thinking, social media also has a very good way of making you think you have problems that you don't have, And a great example of this is, for me sometimes, right, when I'm scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, what I notice that goes around a lot is the male versus female dilemma, almost like a man versus woman thing. And I notice both sides. The men are trying to put the woman down and the women are trying to put the men down, And it's such a interesting thing because sometimes when you hear people talk about it in their videos, you could almost, now I'm not trying to say that they're not thinking that way, right? But you could kind of tell that their ideas aren't theirs and they're just following a trend, right? They're following what will get the likes and the clicks when maybe in reality they don't really have those type of problems, right? Again, who am I to know? But the whole objective of what I'm trying to talk about here today is that social media can very much trick you into thinking you're having problems that you don't actually have. And in the past, way back when, I used to feel that way as well. I used to talk about things and worry about things that really didn't have anything to do with me, especially when I sat back and thought about it. I was like, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with me, so why am I internalizing it like this? And it's very easy to fall into that trap. It's very easy, especially when you're scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, and the way people are able to articulate themselves sometimes on those platforms. Don't get me wrong, it'd be good enough to make you think, oh man, am I really having this type of issue? When in reality, you're really not. A great example is a woman can say all men are trash, but you can go out in reality and maybe in your own life and you realize, oh, well, they're not being that way to me. Or vice versa. It could be like women are trash, but at the end of the day, in your life, what woman has done you dirty? And then once you think about it like that, you know what? Man, they haven't been really that bad to me, have they? So it's very easy. Again, I know I'm talking about this a lot, but it's very easy for social media to make you think you have problems. So now when I'm scrolling and maybe sometimes indulging in a little bit of social media, I'm very aware to make sure I have a little bit of a pause and think, okay, what they said sounds real good, but doesn't have anything to do with me. And if it has nothing to do with me, then leave it. In Islam, there's this really good lesson, and they say, and I heard it from a lecture actually, and the person said that when it comes to getting advice, what you want to do is listen and take only what you benefit from. So anything else that has nothing to do with you, don't worry about it at all. Because sometimes somebody's problems don't reflect your own. So that doesn't mean all the answers are in alignment with you. I hope that made sense. In simple terms, you could even say that everybody has different problems, but the answers to their problems don't necessarily reflect your situation. So somebody's answers to their problem could be very different to yours, meaning not everybody's answers are the same So even you could say the same situation. Sometimes you can have a different solution for the same thing. So again, when you're scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, be aware, especially when you pop up, or I should say, especially when those videos pop up of just maybe a random subjects and they make it sound really good. Don't self-diagnose yourself and be like, maybe I am struggling with this. This is very different from accountability. I think accountability is very important. And if you know you're struggling with something, it's good to be aware and own up to that. But when you hear of a problem and a person is talking about it, it's very easy for the mind to find ways of finding patterns to make it feel like you are also in that same situation when in reality you're really not. So keep that in mind. It's just a short video, but it did come up when we were talking about it in our little group discussion. It was very nice, by the way. And let me know if you guys actually feel that way as well. If you guys feel like sometimes social media makes you guys think you're struggling with something you're really not. Because I believe I've fallen into that trap many times, and I believe it's very easy to fall into that. So keep that in mind. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time.